The costra is a taco I learned about in Mexico City, and it's one that I think everyone should know how to make. Why? Well, for one, you just need two ingredients, which are a melting cheese and the meat of your choosing. And then secondly, once you have those ingredients, it can be made in 12 minutes from start to finish, meaning it's very low effort for extremely high satisfaction. Not to mention, it's a great high protein and low carb meal as well. And I set up 5 cameras around my kitchen, and I'll explain a couple of things along the way as we make it. This includes what is the Costra Blueprint, why I use frozen steak for this taco, what cheeses work best for the cheese crust, why I like using white corn tortillas for this taco, and why the costra is one of the best textural experiences you can get in a taco. This textural crunch is unbelievable. So let's make this thing. So first I'm gonna get the griddle heated, and basically all you have to do, the basic blueprint for this taco is cook a protein and then wrap it in melted cheese and crisp up the cheese, then add your toppings like normal. And specifically, I'm making a very, very simple one with just pickled onions, some green hot sauce, and some Mexican crema. And then I'll be using some steak as my meat. So legitimately, this is all our components. And I did cheat a little bit, but this is something I didn't make for this video. I actually had like 2 ribeyes that I bought for this other video and thumbnail I was gonna do, and then I ended up not using them, and they were just sitting in the fridge, like salted and everything. And then I didn't want steak, so I was like, hey, let me just slice this up thin, and then I'll throw it in the freezer for quick meals. And it's been one of the best things ever, so I may actually end up making a little video about this. So all I do is kind of take like a little handful of the steak, and then you don't really need to like let it fully heat up if you don't want to. But I'm just gonna toss some of this in here. I think that'll be enough for like 2, should be. And then sprinkle a little adobo seasoning, which is like a pretty classic thing. This does have some salt in it. Ooh, spilled some. And this is like the bitter orange one, which is pretty interesting. I don't know, there's actually a bunch of these different adobo seasoning. Highly recommend trying to find one and pick one up. So I'm just like putting this on, and then I'm gonna let that heat up, and then I'll drop it right on. And then the only other thing that we need is the cheese. So for the cheese, we're gonna use a non-stick to, you know, it's just gonna release better. You can do it on a variety of pans, but non-stick definitely works really well for this. So I'm gonna put that in the center over here. And then our last item is some cheese that I gotta grate up. Okay, so a lot of melting cheeses will work for this. This is actually some queso quesadilla, which is, it's just like a nice melting cheese. Similar-ish to Monterey Jack, not, you know, kind of mild, but really any melting cheese will work for this. I mean, you could use like cheddar if you wanted to. Cheddar's a little bit strong on the flavor side, but I mean, it'd still be good. And then let me toss my steak on. But basically all you have to do is just grate cheese, and then we'll throw it on the pan, let it melt, and then we'll put the cooked steak into the center and wrap it around. And it is one of the best textural experiences in a taco you'll ever get. Not to mention just tasting really good too. So I think, I'll do a little bit more just in case. That's probably enough for 2 tacos. I don't know exactly how much this is, but. Yeah, I think something like that is probably pretty good. And again, this is another, I mean, amazing weeknight, Taco Tuesday. Like, you'll be done with this thing in absolutely no time. So I'm just gonna get the pan on low. I've got my cheese, and then literally these are my only toppings. I like to keep it pretty simple because I want the cheese crust to really shine texturally. I want the flavor of the steak in the center. So I don't wanna like overdo it with like a ton of extra salsas and stuff like that. I like to keep it kind of plain. And then I purposely got white corn tortillas for this, just because the contrast between the browned cheese looks much better when you actually lay it inside these. Just coming back to my steak really quick. Just trying to break up some of these frozen pieces. They kind of cook a little bit wonky, but it's all right. And then I'm actually gonna throw that little press down over top. And, I mean, there's like no dishes for this, but what dishes there are, I'll at least get rid of. But like I said, you could use any protein for this. You could do ground beef, chicken. You know, if you have some braised meat left over, amazing opportunity for that. You guys have all seen that braised video. You know, as with most tacos, like use what you have in the freezer, use what you have in the fridge. Make it as easy as possible for you to be able to churn out a quick little, you know, weeknight dinner. All right, yeah, steak, I mean, this will be done in like 2 more minutes. Some nice little browning on there. And then I am gonna start melting the cheese. And I'll do these one at a time. Something like that I think will work. While the cheeses continue to melt, let me tell you the 3 reasons why the non-stick pans from today's sponsor Made In stand out among the rest. And number 1 is safety. Their non-stick surface is double cured, made without PFOAs, and passed 100% of a third party's health safety and non-toxic test in both the USA and Europe. And secondly is durability. This nonstick lasts 10 times longer than premium competitors' nonstick surfaces and 70 times longer than ceramic nonstick surfaces. And then third, and maybe most importantly, performance. The same 5-ply stainless steel is underneath the nonstick, meaning it heats evenly and quickly for searing or charring. And these can be purchased individually or as a set in 8, 10, and 12-inch versions. So if you want to check out Made In's nonstick cookware, head to the link in my description, and thank you again, Made In, for sponsoring this video. And the reason why this works so well is because the fat, you have a fattier cheese, so the fat is rendering out, and then it's crisping up those proteins inside the cheese itself, giving you that nice little crust. And for me, you gotta find that perfect spot where there's still like a little bit of gooiness in the inside, but it's crisp on the outside. So you can start to see this is bubbling, but it's not really browning yet on the bottom, but we'll be there pretty shortly. And then I'm gonna put the steak over in the center and then curl it up around the steak and we'll be good to go. And this was like a taco in Mexico City that I didn't have that often. It's definitely not super common, at least when I went to places. But those that did, whenever I saw it on the menu, I was like, oh, I'm definitely ordering this. So I'm kind of let that fat render out, and then I'll turn this over on the edges. But what the fat's doing right now is basically like frying the bottom of the cheese and like getting that brown, crispy goodness that like really makes this taco just unbelievable. It's getting close, but I'm just trying to feel like when I can start lifting it up and over without it kind of like breaking apart. So you might have to wait a little bit longer than you think. Yeah. So you can see you're starting to get that nice, beautiful crust. Just lifting it over the top. And I mean, you could honestly eat this as a taco on its own if you wanted to. But what I'm gonna do too is heat up these a little bit. So I'm gonna bring this, transfer it over. Oh yes, 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 yes. And then I'm gonna wipe that down before I add the other, I don't know where my paper towels are. Oh no, oh, they fell to the ground. So yeah, I'm just gonna wipe this down just because, I mean, there's plenty of fat from the cheese. So bring this over. And then to garnish these, I mean, this is just like insane. Again, so I can see it's like pretty easy to lift up. I kind of added this steak a little bit too early on the last one. So I'm gonna turn the heat off. Bring that cheese over. Oh my gosh, I can't. This is so good. And then just be careful with your fingers. But oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Oh, this one is insane. Looks way better. I crisped this one up a little bit better. Okay, so mouth is already watering. All right, so garnish, little drizzle of the crema. Oh, gets me so excited. Baby drizzle of, this is like some Serrano hot sauce that is pretty good. And then of course, just a little bit of pickled onions, just to make the color pop. Nice little bit of acidity. I mean, come on, it does not get better than that. Like, so good. Let me get into this. I think you'll be hard pressed to find a better tasting and simpler lunch than this, or for your Taco Tuesday. Like I said, a true gem of a taco that I fell in love with in Mexico City. Doesn't quite take over my love for the poblano con queso, but this is very close behind, and I love the flexibility of this one too, that just you wrap up whatever protein you got with some melted cheese and get it crisp, and then just a true textural delight.